everyone, and welcome to another edition of Chat.Travel on the road. My name is Tracy May, and we are here at the Ariana Convention Center in Da Nang for Horecfex 2025, the country's leading convention for travel, hospitality, and F&B. We'll be meeting the industry leaders across all sectors of travel, hospitality, F&B, and culture, interviewing them, seeing behind the scenes, and listening to the most impactful stories this country has to offer. So come join us and watch Horecfex 2025. We are here with Andre Gensch, the mastermind behind Horecfex 2025. Andre, it's great to see you back on Chat.Travel. What can we expect this week?
Well, it has been a wonderful start this morning. We have 2 days of Horecfex. We are actually coming to the end of day one, and it's basically a full program combining technology, efficiency, human resources, sustainability, but also any other sorts of knowledge such as revenue management, which will help the hospitality industry, the tourism industry, and the gastronomy in central Vietnam to grow and improve.
But you talk central Vietnam as we are in Da Nang, but you have guests from India. You have guests coming in, flying in from all of Asia, like Horecfex, and last year was the first year, has become the most important convention for exactly hospitality and travel and tourism. And it's been a passion project for you. And it's gotta take so much work. Your team has worked tirelessly to pull this off. How do you find your talent? How do you find your people to join? And how many people do you expect at this one?
Right, so actually we are very, very lucky in the sense of over the years, of course, we have built a network. And I have people, including you, helping me actually to connect through connections. So you're absolutely right. We have people from Australia, the UK, America, flying in only for this conference, and many of them being first-time speakers in Vietnam ever. And I really have to say, I spoke to some real leaders in our industry attending this first day, and they told me, you know, the program you're having and the substance you're having is actually not matched in Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi. Now, we are not in a competition with Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi, but what we do differently, number one, is we are focusing on operations. We do not focusing on developers, but we're focusing on operations. Number two, we are free of charge, and we want this to be a vehicle for the Vietnamese talents to grow. It's hard work. It all ultimately roots in passion, and I would say in the love for this country.
Amazing. Well, I'm so grateful to once again have been invited to be a part of this extraordinary platform. I can't wait to see your speakers. I can't wait to see the event. And I must say, kudos on getting Travel Massive here. That is an incredible platform from 100 and something countries around the world, of their community, who will know about how amazing Da Nang is for a tourist destination. So well done.
Thank you so much, and thank you for partnering with us for this event.
Thank you. Please tell us your name and tell us about your company.
Sure, my name's Ian Cumming. I'm the founder of Travel Massive. We're the world's largest tourism industry community with 80,000 members in 100 chapters around the world. We connect everyone from travel writers, travel startups, decision makers, anyone that is working in the tourism industry is part of the Travel Massive network. And we bring people together to share ideas, meet each other, and create the future of travel.
My name is Natalia, and I'm founder and CEO of Secret Experiences. I've been running this company for 7 years now. We organize unique culinary, cocktail, cultural experiences all over Vietnam, and we also organize private events.
Hi, good morning. My name is Betty. I'm from ESGS Climate Consulting, and I'm the CVO of the company.
Lovely.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Chi Nguyen. I'm the country director of ESGS and Climate Consulting.
Hi, my name is Brian Letwin. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Saigoneer, a lifestyle cultural media company and urbanist travel, luxury DMC here in Vietnam and Asia.
Hello, my name is Chris Tran, and I live in Vietnam right now. I came here about 2 years ago, and I just organically became a content creator, just kind of letting people know that, I arrived in Vietnam, I'm here, the food's amazing, all that stuff. It went viral, and then I've been kind of exploring the content creator life ever since. My background is high school teacher. I was a history teacher back in Los Angeles, where I was born and grew up. And just kind of taking a detour right now and just making content about Vietnam and why it's amazing. You know why it's amazing. So I'm just presenting that to the world right now. So that's been the journey.
Xin chào bạn, tôi là Trần Xuân Mới, là nhà sáng lập công ty tư vấn và quản lý ATM. Thực ra đấy là tên gọi tắt của công ty ATM. Công ty này thì đã thành lập từ năm 2006. Chúng tôi chuyên sâu trong lĩnh vực tư vấn đầu tư, quản lý, vận hành, setup khách sạn. Bên cạnh đó là tư vấn đầu tư cho các cái doanh nghiệp khởi nghiệp, đổi mới, sáng tạo. Trong cái hành trình đó thì chúng tôi rất là vui được hợp tác với rất nhiều những cái chuyên gia trong nước và quốc tế, cũng như là các cái nhà đầu tư mà hướng tới cái đầu tư bài bản, chuyên nghiệp cho cái sự phát triển bền vững. Tôi rất là ham học hỏi, và trong cái hành trình của mình thì luôn luôn tìm những cái gì mà nó đi theo cái xu hướng. Có thể nói là chúng ta sẽ luôn luôn tìm những cái có thể đón đầu cái xu hướng. Mục đích là để có thể đem đến những cái giá trị tốt nhất cho các cái nhà đầu tư. Và cái thông điệp của chúng tôi đó là đối tác cho cái sự phát triển bền vững. Khi mà hợp tác với nhau thì sẽ đặt một cái mục tiêu, đó là hai bên cùng win-win. Và trên cái tinh thần như thế thì chúng tôi sẽ luôn luôn tìm những cái giải pháp tối ưu nhất cho từng cái dự án. Và để làm điều đó thì chúng tôi phải nghiên cứu rất là sâu về từng dự án, về thị trường, về những cái xu hướng. Và trong những cái dự án của mình thì sẽ luôn luôn tạo cho từng cái dự án một nó có những cái gọi là USP của từng dự án. Không một dự án nào giống dự án nào. Chúng tôi muốn tạo ra một cái sự đặc thù cho từng dự án. Đi sâu vào trong đó, đó là những cái câu chuyện, đó là cái văn hóa của bản địa và lấy những thế mạnh của địa phương để đưa vào trong cái dự án. Và đó là chính là cách để tạo ra sự khác biệt cho từng dự án. Và trong cái tư vấn của chúng tôi thì chúng tôi hướng tới đó là về cái chất lượng, về cái chiều sâu. Chúng tôi thấy là sự cạnh tranh và chất lượng, sự cạnh tranh và sự khác biệt dựa trên những cái bản sắc văn hóa của bản địa. Thì cái sự kết hợp đó nó sẽ tạo ra thế mạnh và sự cạnh tranh bền vững. Và chúng tôi có những đội ngũ chuyên gia rất là giỏi trong nước và quốc tế đã đồng hành, và chúng tôi luôn luôn có cơ hội được cập nhật những cái kiến thức, những kinh nghiệm, những xu hướng mới và may đo cho nó phù hợp với từng doanh nghiệp một, từng cái dự án một ở Việt Nam.
Very good afternoon to you. My name is Captain Rahul Bali. I am a filmmaker. I am an army veteran, and as they say, my story goes from guns to glamour. I served in the Indian Army, and now I make films at Bollywood.
Okay, my name is Dieter Buchner. I'm from Germany. I left to move to Dallas to start Vietnam Detox in 2016. And it basically happened when I, for the first time ever, visited Bana Hill, out of all places. I was told you have to go to Bana Hill. And my tour guide, Mr. Horn, he spoke some English, and so we got to talk to each other, and I told him about fasting because I was doing this already in Germany. And he said, fasting, what's this? I never heard about this. I said, yeah, in Thailand you have a fasting place on every corner. It's very big there. You know? And so we stayed in touch, and he did some research, and he found out there's nothing about fasting in Vietnam. However, he did find out that Vietnamese people were traveling to Thailand or to Bali to go on fasting or detox retreats. And the people who did that were models, actors, singers, so people who knew about the benefits of fasting.
So from day one, we always came at it from, there has to be like a separation of church and state when it came to editorial and advertising. So in the beginning, for the first 3 years, we didn't even have paid articles on the website, like banner ads. And that was it, because we kind of knew about the paradigm that we just mentioned of the media in Vietnam. And we knew that we were different in many ways, and that was one of the ways that we thought was important to have integrity. I worked in the media a little bit in Vietnam before starting Saigoneer, so I had like a baseline understanding of these dynamics, and for sure knew like we were going to do things very differently. And this is one of the core like pillars of difference was this market in media and maybe in other things lacks authenticity. There's a lot of other good things in media here, but authenticity was something where like if that's a market we could probably corner or at least like take a big chunk out of, especially back when we started. So yeah, like to that point, like I remember the day we started doing like, all right, we're gonna let brands have an article on Saigoneer and having that conversation. Like, what's that gonna look like? Where do we put these things? So we did after like 3 years, because also for money to make it a viable business, you can't leave all that. So we've left a lot of money on the table for the sake of authenticity.
Right.
There are brands we've decided not to work with that wanted to work with us because we felt like it didn't align with our values. There are things from brands that we're happy to work with that asked things that would compromise what we saw was like that editorial integrity and authentic integrity that we have. Thinking that also like once you start to compromise those, where our brand values lie, like it just destroys the business within either a short, medium, or long amount of time, but definitely on the slippery slope towards not having that backbone.
Right.
Which is important.
I think one interesting trend, or it's starting to happen, is that's on the technology sort of side, is autonomous vehicles. So these are like the robo-taxis or self-driving cars. Now you think like, you know, at the moment, I think there are trials in San Francisco and Austin with Waymo and I think with Tesla, robo-taxi. I think that's really going to change tourism, because you can imagine that you could have a self-driving tour and it could pick you up from your hotel and the car could drive around and take you to the places that you want to go. And so that, I think that's a disruptive trend, at least in the sort of transportation part of travel. We talked about it, I talked about Wheel the World and accessibility, and I think that is a big trend. So like 1 in 5 people have some form of a disability globally. So if you think that's like a huge market, and some research a few years ago identified that the accessible travel market just in the United States alone was about $400 billion. So if you think that how can destinations create a competitive advantage, like one aspect is to make their destinations more accessible.
So at the first layer, what I will answer right away is like, it's not about the profitability of your company. It's about, this is your dream as an entrepreneur. So you have to realize it within a certain framework. And you want it or you don't want, the climate is real. The regulation is going to be more and more restrictive. So in the best case, you could only like receive a fine very later, right? Or you're just going to be forbidden. So what's the point to create an economical activity knowing that within the next 2-3 years, you will be either fined, either not allowed to even run your activity. So you have, nowadays we're at 2025, right? 26, for example, you take Hanoi, then we have to change 30% of the vehicles must be electrical. By 2027 to 2028, probably the whole capital will move to electrical cars, right? Because there is a bigger action here, this is the impact. So the question is, how can you now be an entrepreneur within the climate frame? Climate is just like, you want it or you don't want. Right now, we're talking about the green transition because there is still time for you to transit. But it doesn't mean that you're having a choice, right? Now you feel that you're having a choice. So you can be creative, you can be flexible into the way that you want to deliver, you know, the specific product that you're having in mind or the services, right? But within the climate frame. The same way that with the digital transition, many companies, they didn't transit. The regulation didn't even like forces you to do so. But nowadays, if you don't have a website to run your business, you feel a little bit, you know, that something is missing.
Yeah, first of all, I would say thank you. Thank you for stepping up and trying to contribute. The very first step actually for all companies that we have consulted and walked through the whole journey is training. Because if the company and the team and the leaders don't really have an aligned understanding on what sustainability really is and what it means for their organization, it's really hard to go in the same direction. You can imagine it is like a squad going on a new journey. If everybody define it a different direction, nobody's gonna achieve the same goal. And so the very first important thing is training. Give everybody on the same foundation of knowledge of sustainability and what it means for them. And the next step will be scanning. It's like going for a health check, right? Because if you want to transition, you need to understand where you are and how you are right now at this position. So we do ESG reporting, carbon assessing, is all like the scanning we do so we understand where you are right now as an organization. And from there, we develop like strategies and roadmap for you to do the green transition. And we help them along with the way as well to adjust the roadmap. The roadmap could be also 20 years, 30 years, and then there will be a milestone for their achievement of each year or every 5 years and so on. So in a nutshell, that is the whole process, but that is something that could last around like 1 to 2 years to develop.
We have several regular daily available experiences. Our signature one, and the one actually that we started with 7 years ago, is Secret Cocktail Experience. We have this one in Hoi An, Da Nang, Ho Chi Minh City, and opening in Hanoi next month as well. We also have modern culinary experiences, which is available in Hoi An, also on a daily basis. We have craft liquor tastings in Hanoi and on demand also in Ho Chi Minh City, and we organize photo experiences as well as launching art experiences as well. Typical, for example, Secret Cocktail Experience would be visiting 4 hidden locations. Not all of them are bars. We have some very surprising places. We used to work with a flower shop, have a tea house. We used to go to someone's private house. And we would serve a unique cocktail based on local ingredients. Always that's a must for local craft liquor. With a cool snack. And the big part of it is actually storytelling. So it's upscale, well, some people say it's upscale pub crawl. It's actually very different because we focus here not on drinks that much, we focus on story and social connection and interaction. For a culinary experience, it's called modern culinary experience. We don't try any traditional Vietnamese dishes because, well, they're amazing. I love Vietnamese cuisine. And we know that a lot of tourists and people living here, they already tried everything multiple times. We want to show that we have modern cuisine, so not just basically we have fusion, we have modern chefs. One of the places we go to in Hoi An, it's our friend who makes vegan cheese, so we try to do something surprising.
It's I use this word in Vietnamese, Yuing, which means like fate. So I think like there's some kind of weird, almost like cosmic spiritual combination of reasons why, for me in particular, like I just couldn't stay away after the first time I came here. And I did a study abroad program. So I went to UCLA and then I signed up to do study abroad. At first I tried to go to Japan, but I couldn't get into the program because of GPA reasons. And then they told me Vietnam was still available. So then I signed up for that. And then I went for 6 months. We were in Hanoi. This was back in 2006. And it just blew me away. And it's exactly the reason that you brought up, because my parents were boat people. They left Vietnam during very dire times, built a life in the US, and never really thought to come back, you know, to visit maybe, but like definitely not to build a life. And then for me, when I reconnected when I was a student, because at that time I was just like a sponge, you know, and like it just felt like this was all stuff that I didn't know. You know, like I felt Vietnamese living in the States, you know, eating Vietnamese food, family traditions, all that. But it was like, I felt like I knew like 1% of my own culture. So when I came back as a student, it just blew my mind. And like, I couldn't get enough. So then I went back to the States after I graduated. And then honestly, I felt depressed. You know, I was like, you know, I can't get back to this life now in California. Something is missing now for me. You know, like I'm not fulfilled. And so I came back to Vietnam. I lived for about 4 years from 2011 to 2015. I taught. And then I think I went through a phase where I felt, you know, kind of like I needed a change again. You know, like I needed to step out of Vietnam. So then I went back for 7 years, became a high school history teacher. And I think that whole time, the same thing. I was like, I just couldn't get Vietnam out of my mind. I was like, I'm lying to myself. I can't stay away from Vietnam.
Thực ra thì đây là một cái dự án rất là ý nghĩa, rất là kịp thời. Ngay sau khi mà dịch Covid kết thúc thì chúng tôi cùng với lại chuyên gia của Việt Nam và chuyên gia quốc tế đã có những khảo sát thực hiện trong khoảng 6 tháng trời. Và bản thân tôi thì tham gia một trong những cái mảng cũng rất là quan trọng của ngành du lịch, đó là về nhân sự. Bên cạnh đó thì có rất nhiều những cái yếu tố khác, nhưng mà tự chung lại thì có thể nói là chúng tôi thấy rằng là sau đại dịch Covid thì khách du lịch đã thay đổi rất là nhiều về cái nhu cầu, về cái hành vi đi du lịch. Họ mong muốn được trải nghiệm, họ mong muốn được chạm tới cái chiều sâu của văn hóa của bản địa. Chính vì vậy thì một trong yếu tố đó là làm sao để khai thác được những giá trị văn hóa của bản địa, có thể là về ẩm thực, có thể là về lịch sử, có thể là văn hóa, và cái nữa đó là về thiên nhiên, làm sao họ có thể tương tác, họ có thể kết nối được nhiều nhất với lại bản địa. Cái yếu tố thứ hai đó là về những cái có thể tạo điều kiện cho vấn đề thuận lợi đi du lịch, chẳng hạn như là về visa. Thì trong đó chúng tôi cũng có những đề xuất và rất là đáng mừng, và ngay buổi sáng hôm nay trong cái phiên khai mạc Horecfex này thì cũng đề cập đến về vấn đề các cái thủ tục nó được đơn giản hóa đi, và có được nhiều các quốc gia có được cái visa thuận lợi hơn khi đến với lại Việt Nam. Một cái yếu tố nữa chúng tôi cũng đề cập trong đó, đó là về vấn đề di chuyển, về vấn đề giao thông, về vấn đề vận chuyển của các cái hãng hàng không, và về cơ sở hạ tầng. Một cái phần nữa mà chúng tôi cũng đề cập đó là về đổi mới, về ứng dụng để tăng trải nghiệm cho khách hàng, đó là về trí tuệ nhân tạo, về công nghệ. Và một cái mảng mà tôi cũng tham gia rất là sâu đó là về nguồn nhân lực. Nói gì thì nói, con người sẽ là một yếu tố then chốt trong cái lĩnh vực du lịch đem đến trải nghiệm cho khách hàng.
Like for example, any other place where you go, for example, Switzerland or Spain or UK or the New Zealand, where Indian films have gone and shot, and they've seen a major surge in tourism. You know, if I tell you, there's a film producer called Yash Chopra, late Yash Chopra, he passed away. He started this concept in Switzerland, and after he started making movies there, the total tourism of Switzerland grew by 40%. And today, the government of Switzerland has made a statue of that man in Interlaken. They've got trains running in his names, because that is the impact of film industry on tourism. So I'm of course, I'm on the same path, and Yash Chopra is a very, very big figure. He's our godfather in terms of film industry. But I am extremely happy that following the path of those big legendary filmmakers, I'm the one who's laid the foundation for India-Vietnam cinematic collaboration, and the first ever India-Vietnam collaborated film called Love in Vietnam. I'm the producer of that.
Wow.
And so this is a journey that we started, and I feel totally blessed and honored to be the one who's laid this foundation between India and Vietnam to start this great cinematic collaboration.
Wonderful.
As soon as your body enters the fasting metabolism, which means it takes food from the inside, it first takes your glucose reserves, which last exactly for 24 hours. Your brain runs on glucose. So as soon as your brain notices, actually even before it's completely empty, the body switches to use protein for energy. But of course, that's not a sustainable source of energy. So after 3, maximum 4 days, then the body reduces energy to protein and goes into your fat reserves. And you can basically fast as long as you have fat in your body. When that fat reserve is completed, then it goes back into protein, and then you need to stop because now it gets dangerous.